right, welcome everyone and welcome to another session of Telos Live. It's fantastic to have you all here. And just to warm up the crowd this evening, we played Jan's favourite song. So Jan, I wanted to see you dancing, and same with you, Linda, because I know it had a Latin beat to that song. But look, welcome everyone. My name's Les. It's so good to have you join us here for Telos Live and another kind of cold evening out there. Before we begin, I am going to bring in our co-pilot for the night, and let's welcome in the lovely Ella. So Ella, do you want to say hello to everyone while I just check the waiting room for anyone else?
Hi everyone, it's good to see you all tonight for our Telos Live with Anthony Kilner.
Excellent. And so look, thank you for joining us here. I know it's been funny weather out there, and it's been quite interesting energy that's been happening in our world at the moment, as you might be aware. And I know tonight I have a feeling as I connect in and I feel my guides and spirit coming in that we might be talking a little bit about this and some of the shifting and changing universally that's happening at this time. But if you're here tonight, we really do welcome you. And for those of you who are new, I just want to share a little bit about what tonight is and how these Telos Live sessions run. So Ella and I really started running a lot of these Telos Live sessions at the beginning of this year. And part of it was we were really guided to kind of bring in other spiritual teachers and healers and people who really have a gift to be able to shift consciousness and to really bring a sense of empowerment to our community. But more important, to really help them step into their energy and power at this time. And since we started Telos almost 3 years ago, our purpose has really been to bring together heart-centered and conscious spiritual individuals who are really seeking a greater level of empowerment, but that want to really evolve, want to find their gifts and talents and really make a bigger difference in the world at this time. So if you're here, there's absolutely, as Ella and I say, there's absolutely no coincidence. You know, we always believe a part of your soul and spirit has brought you here tonight to maybe listen to a word or to get an insight or a simple message. And we're really excited about our guest that we have joining us here tonight. So before we begin, let me just kind of introduce Anthony before we bring him in to do some sharing. And I had the real privilege of sharing a platform in the City Spiritual Church with Anthony a couple of months ago. And it was really the first time I'd actually met Anthony, but it was fascinating to not only hear him doing his mediumship and how he worked with his spirit guides and helpers, but also Anthony, as you'll find out tonight, is a man of many gifts and talents. And he's got quite a lot of different interesting projects happening. But one of his gifts is also music, and he plays a number of instruments. And tonight I know he wants to share a little bit of that gift with us as well. So it's going to be a great evening. So let me tell you a little bit about Anthony, and then we'll bring Anthony in. So look, Anthony really lives and breathes spirituality. And he's really been facilitating intuitive development and spiritual workshops for over 15 years and provides a range of different services from not only one-on-one readings, the mediumship, sound healing, also metaphysical dream interpretation, which I know we might delve into a little bit tonight. But he's also, I think, has a background in journalism. He's a speaker, a presenter, a ghost investigator, which we'll also find out more about tonight. And he's written 2 books and co-authored 3 others. And at the moment, he's also the publisher of an online magazine called Supernal. And it's a free bi-monthly magazine that is really about, again, helping people like ourselves develop their consciousness and really make a bigger and more profound difference in their world by connecting with spirit. So let us welcome Anthony in. Let's give him a big clap. I know he can't hear you, but it'll just give me time to place a spotlight on him. That's fantastic. Welcome, and thank you for joining us all here tonight.
Oh, look, thank you, Les. Thank you, Ella, and everybody that's joined. It's a bit of a privilege to be able to get on and talk about my stuff and what we do and how we do it. And I say we because I work with a lot of spirit people, so it's always generally we rather than I.
That's correct. Yeah, I know we all have a team at some level, and I know we've been excited. I know when Ella mentioned, we should get Anthony to come in and share with the group and the community, because she said, he's a man of many gifts and he's connected in many ways with the spirit world and the guidance and the work that you're doing on a bigger level. So, look, again, thank you for being here. And, maybe a good place to start, Anthony, is we start with everyone that we connect with this way, is maybe just to share a little bit about what was it that got you onto your spiritual path and that woke you up on your journey?
Right. That was a fun question. I've thought about this on and off over the years, and I really have to blame my sister and my eldest sister and all her girlfriends, because they set up a seance during school holidays one time. And we turned our dining room into this black space, and they lit candles everywhere, and they were playing with a Ouija board at the time. And I didn't know anything about any of this at that point. I was still quite young, probably about, would have been maybe 10, something like that. And of course, I started seeing things, and then everybody else started seeing things. And then there was lots of young girls running around screaming, sheets being ripped off windows, all sorts of things. So I guess if we're going to look at, that was my very early introduction, even though I didn't really understand what I was seeing at the time. And then sort of when I was into around the 16 to 20 mark, I started having a lot of prophetic visions. And back then, and it was a while ago, there wasn't mediumship, and spirituality wasn't really talked about. Yes, there was a spiritualist church or whatever kicking around, but it wasn't as popular today or then as it is today. And so I didn't know how to deal with it. And if I'm being brutally honest, I turned to drugs and alcohol to try and shut everything down, because everything I saw came true and I had no one to talk to. And so I didn't know anything about it. And then that sort of went away and changed form a little bit. And then when I was getting up towards, must have been in my late 20s, I started hearing my name being called. And I sort of, the last one that got me really moving was I was in the shower and they called me 3 times, and 3 times jump out of the shower, put a robe on, walk up to the front door, and there's no one there. And so hang on, I got to find out about this. So I started talking to a few people and was put onto a medium, and I went and spent a bit of time with him, and then he ended up becoming my teacher and at the time, and things just progressed from there.
Fantastic. It's always interesting how people kind of connect in, and especially those who are into, spiritualism and connecting with spirit. And it's fascinating too. I know my journey while I was in Canada started with a Ouija board too. I don't think spirit wanted me to use it, because when I brought it back to Australia, it just wouldn't work. So it was probably a protective thing. But along your way, Anthony, obviously from where you started to where you are now, there's obviously been some teachers, there've been some guides that have turned up on your path, but who have been kind of the biggest kind of people of impact on your journey to this day?
Wow. That's a really tough question in a lot of ways, because my view on everything is you learn something from everyone, regardless of how much you know. And you've just got to listen, and that's what you do. I would still have to go back to my first 2 teachers, probably Brett and Craig, who were sort of opposite sides of a coin in the way they taught. And one taught military style and one taught fun style. And, they sort of got the ball really rolling. But over the years, I have met so many amazing people, and from just being around and watching and listening, and has been really the biggest lesson that I have. And then, of course, listening to my spirit team. So that's even more importantly, because I struggle to read and take in information, which sounds funny because I'm a writer and a journalist and author and stuff. However, I have this issue that I can read something and I can read it and understand it, but I can't actually hold on to the information. And so I've got this amazing library of books that have been donated to me, and it's all been fantastic. I can't read them. So I basically have to learn by just connecting to my spirit team and putting it out there and just working my way through it. But I can guarantee you there's probably not a day going by that I'm not doing something spiritual where I'm not learning something from someone. And it might be just a different way of thinking, or just opening myself up to a different energy. And of course, I've got some really, really close friends that I can bounce things off and talk about stuff. And, you know, that's really important too. I think, you know, it's good to get a mentor, and it's good to have a teacher, and it's good to sort of have people you can talk to. But if you've got someone close that you can talk to about anything and everything, you know, spiritually, makes all the difference in the world for how we grow as a person.
Yeah, and I think for most people here who have started their journey along the way, you know, they may have felt like they were the odd one out, or the black sheep of the family who believed in these things or was getting messages. And often our families, you know, they look at us weirdly when we start talking about these things. So to find like-minded, connected people is really important. Ella, do you have a question for Anthony? Because I know you've had the same teachers too, or one of the same teachers.
We had the same teacher. I'm just finding out.
So which one was it, the military style or the love style?
Do you recognize this?
Yes.
I met you in 2013 on one of your workshops in Ibiza, and yes, you made an impact on me and you know, my development. I just found out we had the same teacher. Military style, well, perhaps not military, but he was the man who will. You have to be. I'm lacking the words now. He will discipline you. Right? And then he wasn't the man who will be talking constantly, but just would watch you closely and your development, and he will know exactly what you're supposed to develop. So, Anthony, as a man of many gifts and talents, which I really admire you for this, how, through your spiritual journey, because it's been a long journey as well, how you actually influenced by your guides, by your master, what you should choose. You know what, I have so many clients coming and they're telling me, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do with my life, and I cannot connect with guides. Obviously, I can see you have very strong team of guides, but how do they actually get the information through? Is it through dreams? Is it through vision? Is it just, you know, telepathically? Or you just know that the next project is, conquer the world?
I quite often, it's because I live in the moment rather than look for what my next project's going to be. I do have a lot going on at the moment, which does keep me rather busy. And I find that there's still so much to learn. And that's the thing that I find fascinating, that even though I've been doing this for a long time and working with spirit for well over 20 years, you know, one-on-one almost, I'm still learning. And spirit and my team, basically, I learn through, if I might be talking, I might be sitting in my studio and I'll be talking and one of my drums will bang. And it'll be right at a time where I've asked a question. And generally it's an acknowledgement. I sit down, I meditate a lot. So I spend a lot of time with them, connecting through my higher self on a heart level and just being open to what they've got for me. And the rest of it sort of comes through in a subjective, objective way, which, you know, when we look at synchronicity, how things happen, when they happen, what is the meaning behind that. And quite often I'm guided that way. And, you know, my students over the years have been amazing people. I think I've learned more off my students than I've learned from anywhere else. And, you know, things like when we talk about connection and what's coming up, is one of my students said to me one day, she said, "Oh, I see you sitting around with a bunch of monks, you know, Tibetan monks specifically." I went, "Oh, okay, yeah, no worries. I'm open to that, because I'm always open to anything that is likely to come up." And then another student from another group said to me, "Oh, you know, I actually see you working with monks. So there's young monks around you, and I see a board or something behind them, and I'm not sure what that is." And I went, "Okay, so that's two." And I happened to be flicking through a magazine and it fell on the floor. And when I picked it up, it was Teach in India. And, you know, even though I met a whole lot of other skills for everything else, the opportunity to work at the Dalai Lama's temple in Upper Dharamsala was an opportunity. I thought, well, if Spirit are meant to make this happen, I'm open to it. And the next thing you know, I've been accepted. I'm working with the young monks at the temple. Then I'm working with the older monks with the Institute of Buddhist Dialects. And I had enough frequent flyer points because I'd traveled around the globe with my job as a photojournalist in four-wheel driving and vehicles and things. And so my tickets were all covered. Everything was covered. The money to do it turned up in my hand. So that's the synchronicity, the universe all coming together to say, we actually need you to go and spend 3 months by yourself, living on the side of a mountain in Upper Dharamsala and learning what it's like about third world countries, learning what you can from the monks about what Buddhist philosophy is all about. And so that's just one little example of everything that sort of has happened. And most of the things that I jump to are generally exactly that. It's I go from one thing to the next because Spirit have said, no, you need to go over here now. You need to go over there now. And I listen. And I don't ever say no to what they're trying to tell me. And when we play the flute tonight, I went to a talk with a Native American Indian when I was with Brett, actually. And he said, we don't teach music to our kids. We teach that each hole represents an animal. And so they write their music based on the animals they're playing on the flute. And I thought, wow, I'm going to try that. I've got to get myself a flute. So this is way back in the days before, you know, Amazon and all these other people that, you know, you order it now and 4 days later you get it. This was go to the bank, get an international bank check, send it across, wait for them to get the check. Then they've got to go to their bank and cash the check before they'll actually package and send anything out. And the expected time back then from the Oregon flute store where I bought my first flute from was about 12-week turnaround time. And I got home one afternoon and there was a postage thing on my door from Oakley Post Office. And what's this? I haven't ordered anything. And I went down there and of course it was my flute, and it took less than 4 weeks for that whole turnaround time to happen because I was meant to do it. And so when you talk about the connection to spirit, when they taught me how to play the flute. So yes, I got a CD. Yes, I got a book. The book I had to put aside, the CD I put in, and I listened. And then Spirit said, come on, just go in the studio, let's do it. And they would put a tune in my head and I would play that tune. And sometimes it was woefully bad and Spirit just walked out the wall. Just gone until I got a better note. So, you know, in answer to your question, it really does. You've got to be in the moment. You've got to be open on all levels, and you've got to trust. And if you trust in your guides and you trust in what the universe is going to provide for you, then the opportunities are going to pop up for you and you don't want to miss them, you know?
Absolutely. And it's, you never say no, right? You always say yes, whatever universe present you in front of you. Yep. Defining moment from your India trip. Can you share with us, please?
Oh, defining moment.
Something which really shook your life at this time.
Gosh, there's so many. Probably one of the defining moments really was I found out a couple of days later that the monks are not allowed to be taught how to sing Western songs. And the Dalai Lama had walked past the room where I was teaching my young monks, and I'd been teaching them the Kookaburra song. and so I had my laptop set up, I had the Kookaburra sounds, I talked about birds of Australia and this and that and all the rest of it, and started teaching them the singing. And of course, then I heard from the lady that was my boss over there, and she said, oh, the Dalai Lama heard you today. And I said, what do you mean? You said, you're teaching the kids to sing. And I said, yeah. You said it would be all right. She said, well, I thought it might be, but he's happy that you do it because I told him you were the crazy Aussie that was over here doing this. So I got away with something that most other people could never do. That was defining for me because it meant that by following what I felt was right in the space and the time, I got validation from somebody that's probably one of the most holy people on the planet.
Absolutely.
And so that was defining. But another moment would be, and I'm not sure how political you guys want to get, but I worked at the Tibet Good Hope Center, and the center was where all Tibetan refugees that come out of China get taken to basically the capital of India. They get processed, they get sent up to Dharamsala to meet the Dalai Lama, and quite often they have no English. And so the Tibet Hope Center was set up by volunteers to do that. And there was a one couple, a very tall, skinny young man that I will honestly say on a heart level, I fell in love with this person. He tried to get out of again, I'm trying to word this a little bit nicely, but anyway, tried to get out of Tibet, had to go through the Himalayas. The Chinese government, the first time they caught him, they bashed him senseless. The second time they shot him. The third time they beat him so badly he had a 20-second memory. And he had a young girl that always walked around with him because after 20 seconds, he wouldn't be there. And after 3 months of working there 5-6 nights a week, he was remembering me, and he would say, oh, I want to go to him. I want to go to him. Couldn't remember my name, but he was so gentle and keen to learn. And with a lot of these things, you got to sit there and draw pictures, you know, how a tap works, how, you know, what forms a cloud, you know, stuff that we take for granted, they have no knowledge of. And when they've been beaten so badly, and a lot of Tibetans get shot and killed coming out of the mountains, that was something that triggered a response in me, that I felt so privileged to be living in Australia, for one, to experience what the Tibetans go through and see what Indian poverty was like in a third world country with a caste system, and live it every day for 3 months. It was amazing. And so the whole trip was defining.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Anthony, I really like that story you shared about, obviously, how you got guided to Dharamsala, to the monks and to the Dalai Lama. For people that are here, often, you know, they're developing, and a question that often comes up is, how do I know what is guidance from my guides and spirit as compared to what is just my mind or my ego? What's your sense of this? You know, like how do we discern the voice and the messages of spirit? And, you know, from your perspective, what's your sense of that?
It's, again, learning to trust is so important. Learning to question is also so important. So, you know, I question everything because my journalistic brain works that way. My mechanic brain works that way. If A and something happens between D and there's, you got to find what's broken there. And I treat my work with spirit exactly the same way. It's got to make sense. Now, there's two sides to that discussion. You've got your practical side of that's got to make sense, but then you've got to have an open heart to accept that those messages are coming through and how they do come through. Now, a lot of people will have dream experiences, they'll have astral experiences, they'll have physical experiences, and you've got to say to yourself, well, what does it all mean, and how is spirit trying to get in touch with you? And so when you walk into, like I walk into my room and I'll say, good morning, studio, morning, spirit, and the gong goes off, it tells me that there's a crew there. Okay, so I better sit down and actually talk to them. And really, I guess the key point in all of this is the universe and your spirit people need to love you unconditionally. They're not going to tell you to go and do something wrong. They're not going to tell you to do something stupid. You know, if you've got those thoughts in your head, then there's something else going on. And so if somebody or some spirit loves you unconditionally and they only have your best interest at heart for you and them, then that's what you've got to learn to trust. And it's not an easy thing because we get conditioned from birth to just do what we're told, and you've got to go there and you've got to do that. And our spirit guides are saying, no, you don't have to do that. Your higher self is there. They know exactly what you're doing. You got all these other team around you and you still go. And normally it's when you don't listen to what's being said or done or given to you that things get really wrong. And
if you're pushing your agenda, otherwise, yes, instead of listening what they, yes.
Exactly. And ego plays a little, I mean, you need a little bit of ego as the fire in the belly. And if you can't be humble in what you do and how you do it, if you don't feel like it's coming from a heart space and you're thinking from up here and speaking from up here, that's always been the hardest lesson for me, coming out of a position of, you know, running a workshop and doing this and being involved in the Army Reserve and da. It's always been, you know, do. And, you know, I've got some beautiful people around me that have said, stop just doing, sit back and listen.
And that can be challenging, can't it? Because, you know, like I know I came from an IT background, and so the whole drilling is about taking action, and it's about motivation. It's all the left brain side. And then sometimes we watch our own students, Ella and ourselves, and we see that the energy's up in their head. But the moment they let go of that and drop into the heart space or into the body, it's like the body starts speaking, and then they start connecting.
Absolutely.
So it's creating that space. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I know, Anthony, tonight was about universal consciousness and opening up to universal consciousness. And that came out of a little bit you wrote to me when I asked you, you know, what are you passionate about at the moment? And you wrote back, oh, it's about this, you know, this blending of the astral and the dream state and the universal state of being. And I'm going to get you to share a little bit about what you feel around this sense of universal consciousness, because I'm getting told it's very important at the moment, given what we're going through on a planetary, and they're telling me evolutionary basis, and that everyone here has a role that's listening in tonight or will listen to the video, has a role in this unfolding of this consciousness, because we're an integral part of it. I'm just going to share this little quote that popped in and then hand to you to maybe do your own sharing on it, which is, during the week, I know I shared this in an email with a lot of our community. There was a little quote that came up from an Austrian poet, Rainer Maria Rilke, who kind of said, you know, there's 1 billion stars that are traveling through the sky, glittering above your head. But within you is the presence that will long be there when all the stars are dead. And when I read that, is this connection to this presence that is always there, that is connected to everything. So do you want to just share with us a little bit about, you know, what does this universal consciousness mean to you, and why do you feel it's important for the people who are listening in tonight?
Okay. What an amazing quote to start with. That's beautiful.
And you've got the stars behind you, you've got the northern lights. So I'm watching them going by.
And part of that was I was guided to do that, to put the green behind, because we're going to be talking about heart space and we're talking about that. So universal consciousness and working with that. So it all starts around frequency and understanding on a heart level who we are as people, and the growth of that frequency that moves up through us. The universal consciousness, where it really, in really quick terms, starts with the core of the earth. And back in my day when I was a kid, that the Earth's core was traveling quite slowly, and it delivered a frequency, you know, for argument's sake, of around 5 hertz. In 2023, it's delivering a frequency of around 13 to 15 hertz. Now, for anyone that wants to go and check the actual hertz ratings, I went to an absolutely brilliant discussion on this one night. And it's out there. So basically the core of the earth is spinning faster, which is raising the vibration of the earth. So as it starts to get faster and faster, we're starting to get tsunamis and earthquakes and stuff going on. So you've noticed, if you see any of the sort of media and stuff going around, we're actually getting more and more physical things happening to the planet. And, you know, volcanoes going off, and everyone's saying, you know, we've never had this many volcanoes going off before, blah, blah, blah. So there's that frequency that's changing. Now that frequency impacts us physically, and what it's doing is raising our vibration up. So this is, if you look at that frequency of us raising up, we're becoming less dense in a way and more enlightened, which is why there are so many more people now able to connect with spirit and the universe in a different way than they did, say, 20, 30 years ago. You know, 35 years ago, 40 years ago, you didn't hear what mediums were unless you were in a specific group of people. So the universal conscious we're talking about is Mother Earth. Her consciousness is in a way awakening. Now, if you think about the Earth, it doesn't just travel around the sun, it takes a different trajectory through the whole universe the whole time. So we're talking the physical stuff at the moment. And so we're never in the same place at the same time ever. Right. And so that's got to lead you to think, well, okay, if we're never in the, how can we keep raising? And the Earth keeps going from a sphere, flattens out, to a sphere, flattens out. And so it changes the whole impact of that energy. So what that does, that's raising universal consciousness on a global level, which is why a lot of spiritual people at the moment, a lot of people are being impacted by depression. They're waking up in the mornings thinking, I just don't feel right. There are people, you know, walking around like they're just asleep and they're trying to work out, you know, I just don't feel like I belong anymore. And that is because the universal consciousness is impacting us in a negative way because of all the pain and hurt that's occurring around the planet at the moment. And it's not just the two current major conflicts. This is stuff that's being done to the Earth. And if you look at a lot of the genocide and genocidal stuff that's been happening around the planet over the last 25, 50 years, then all of that's laying heavy in that universal consciousness. Now, our role as individual people is to raise our vibration above that somehow, sort of almost slip up through that bubble and then push it down and around us so we're not caught up in it. And that takes a lot of effort because you've got to, one, open up on a heart level. You've got to see this stuff. You've got to strengthen your heart. Then you've got to step into it. Then you've got to pull this down, raise your vibration, and you go, aha, I'm up here now. And it gives you a much clearer version of what's going on around you. And so when we talk about people getting caught up in a lot of the stuff that, say, the government, the media, and all these things are doing, and what they're forcing people to do, and how that's giving depression, and how that's this and that, you know, it's just been adding up and adding up and adding up. And in our 3D world, that's perfect because we're stuck there. And there are people that don't ever want to change. But for a lot of us on this spiritual journey, it's not about how good a medium we are or a psychic, whatever. It's all about how good a person we are. And if we can raise ourselves above that, see it for what it is, and move on, and then, you know, I'm going to use the word infect with love everybody around us, then we start changing that energy. And I know in my groups, both my groups that I've been running at the moment, they've all sort of come up with, well, you know, what are we going to do? We're only just a small group of people here, you know, in one room on one night doing one meditation to do stuff. And I'm saying to them, it's not just the one, it's not just how small the group is. It could be one person, could be 20. If you get those 1 to 20 people, and then you multiply that by how many groups around the planet are doing the same thing in a different time space, so it's constantly evolving, then we're going to raise the vibration in that universal consciousness much higher. But if you just sat back and said, well, I'm one small drop in the ocean, I can't change anything, then you're not allowing yourself to be the change.
But I just want to ask you one thing, Anthony, just based on that, you talked about, and I like the metaphor and the visual about us opening up the heart, moving through and rising up above. So we're in more of that 5D perspective, but being able to see the bigger picture. As individuals, you know, what would you recommend? Like, what do you recommend to your students as the best pathways to actually help open that up? You know, what can we be doing maybe on a regular basis ourselves to raise that frequency?
Yeah, good question. It's going to vary for a lot of people, and it depends on a whole range of different things. So it starts with the physical, what you're putting in your body, how often you're putting it in your body, what you do to your body, all those sorts of things. So they're important. But spiritually, there are things like the disciplines that we got taught. So things like smudging, white lighting yourself, cleansing yourself, whatever way you can, those sorts of things, they all work. What I've been shown by Spirit lately, and I will be sharing this with you tonight, and I've got the proof to back up what I'm saying now, because I've been doing it for a little while. But essentially, if you can imagine, we've got Mother Earth here. We're standing on Mother Earth, and we've got the sky and the universe and universal energy up there. And so when you breathe in, and I'll take us through this exercise later, you breathe in Mother Earth's energy. So from the core of Mother Earth, through your Earth star into your base chakra, and all the way up and out. And that's with your in-breath. Then you draw on your out-breath another beam of energy down through the top of your crown, all the way down into the earth. Now, what you're doing when you breathe, just doing that for 3 or 4 seconds changes your energy. Right? So what we're doing at that point is we're bringing universal energy in, which is a positive. The earth symbol is the dash, and we become the battery in the middle. And when we do this properly, we're actually energizing ourselves from a cellular level from both those energies, because you visualize where they meet in your heart space. And when you visualize where they meet in your heart space, you will feel it coming out and around you. Now, this is something that I've been working with for a while. It's probably not new. Nothing really is new. It's just how we describe it and talk about it. This energy, I'm finding when I'm working with people that have had severe depression and they've got suicidal thoughts, and, you know, apart from doing other energy work, just getting them to do that breathing, by the time they leave, after they've done that for 5 or 10 minutes, they're automatically raising their vibration. So when they raise their vibration, that's their energy, and then it becomes mind, body, energy. Notice I didn't say spirit, because in this field, it's mind, body, energy. And it allows you to talk to anybody at that point. Because if you go, oh, it's mind, body, spirit, they go, oh, you woohoo whacker, you know, or something like that. Whereas if you say mind, body, energy, they get it. So that's my biggest advice or suggestion I can offer people is meditate, sit, lie down, do whatever you got to do, but do that exercise regularly, and you'll find your energy will go up. And I call it the fuel tank energy, because everybody knows the fuel tank on a car goes to empty, goes to full, goes to empty. The more you use it, the more you use, the more you got to top up. Yeah.
And I think we underestimate how powerful the breath is too. I know the ancient Vedics and the Indians, obviously with their pranayama, that ability to just breathe intentionally and use it has an amazing impact on the body, and obviously the mind-body energy. Ella, do you have a question for Anthony? I think we've got 1 or 2 more little questions, and then we're going to hand over to you, Anthony, I think, for your main sharing for tonight. So, Ella?
Yes, thank you. So you said that one of your passion is helping people understand the connection between their dreams, astral projection, and physicality, right? Before you're going to start going a little bit deeper, would you like to explain our people what actually is astral projection? We all know what dream is.
Yeah. So astral projection is where your spirit body leaves your physical body and goes off into the astral. It can be used to go off and do remote healing around the globe, all that sort of stuff. So it's just literally your physical body going off, staying here, and your spiritual body going off, right? And where the connection comes in about the dream is, a dream is a flow of energy that's coming from your soul collective or your soul consciousness, and it flows down into your body via the superconsciousness, into the subconsciousness, into your consciousness, which means it needs interpretation. Now, where a lot of people get caught up, especially when they come to me with wanting dream interpretation and that sort of stuff, is that basically what happens is you can have a dream happening at the same time your spirit body's out in the astral, and your body is living an experience while it's receiving information about how to move forward in your life. And if you notice, especially with bad dreams, the worse the dream gets, the harder it gets for you to actually understand it and then learn what they're trying to say to you, because it has to come down in universal interpretation. So that's how I see the difference between what your astral or your spirit body does in the astral, what your soul does with delivering dreams to you, and how it impacts the physical.
Probably another question I would have for you, it's about the Supernal Magazine, right?
Oh, Supernal Magazine, yep.
Yes, basically what prompts you to create and what do you try to achieve through this and what is behind this? Because I know you have a bigger goal. So please share with us.
Okay, so Supernal Magazine came out many years ago. Spirit said to me, Anthony, you're working as a writer now. We want you to write for us. And I ignored it.
Fair enough.
And had a fairly interesting, and I won't call it a near-death experience, but pretty damn close. And so I just put that aside. And then a little bit later, about a year or so later than that, I had another experience that could have taken my life if I wasn't quite ready for it. And Spirit saying, you're not listening to us. You know, this is number one and number two. You know, we've helped you. Number three got really serious because number three, I nearly died in an off-road race because of a carbon monoxide poisoning from a vehicle that was next to me. And my guides are all sitting in the car with me. And they're saying, do you get it now? Maybe you're not supposed to be doing this. We told you you could have avoided this if you'd done this and this and this and maybe not gone into. So I got back from that one. And then I was talking to Spirit. And they're going, come on, it's time, it's time, it's time. And it's going, yeah. And I'm driving down the Hume Highway, doing a photo shoot. All my talent had pulled out the night before. And Spirit said, the car's going, you're going to lose the car. And as I went up over a hill, the caravan decided to try and pass the car. I still, to this day, could not tell you how I managed to bring it under control, except that I am a professional driver. And I managed to get it under control, pulled over, and they said, right, do you get it? Start the magazine. And from then I went and saw a friend of mine, Jane, and she just kicked me up the butt and said, how many more times do you need to do? Do you want to die before you actually do what they're asking you to do? And Supernal was born, and that was in the December of 2018. By March 2019, the first issue came out. We're at issue 44, working on issue 45. It's all about education in all sorts of different avenues. So we look at different perspectives. We have different writers. They all donate their time. We're all volunteers on the magazine, so I don't take a wage from it. It's free. It's online. There are videos. There are podcasts. There's all sorts of information on there, and we survive on the advertising we get in.
And Anthony, I know it's on the website. I did put it on there with a bit of your bio, but you want to just read out what the domain name is? And I'll put it also in the chat for them as well.
So Supernal is super, N-A-L, magazineaustralia.com.au. And from there, you can just click on the magazine and it'll prompt you to subscribe. Subscribing's free. You basically only get one email every 2 months when the magazine comes out. When you look at it and you look at the past issues, you look at some of the topics we cover, we're well ahead of our time. We're very guided by Spirit. And, you know, the people that write for the magazine, because they don't write for me, they write for the magazine, they're beautiful people. They're donating their time, they're putting their energy in. You know, most of us sort of look at it, well, we don't always know how many people are reading our stories and this and that because of the system that I use. And they go, but you know what, it doesn't matter because we're putting it out there because that's what Spirit wanted us to do.
Yeah, awesome. So what I think we'll do, Anthony, just given the time, I think we're going to hand over to you. And I know you wanted to share some music and a bit of meditation. And if you do want to do a bit of sharing or teaching on what you feel maybe the group need tonight, that would be great. And so we're going to take the spotlights of ourselves. We'll leave you up on the screen for a while. And then when we finish up with that, what we often do at the end of the night is just open up and bring everybody on and just see if there's any questions people have before we finish up the night. How does that sound?
All right. So thank you, everybody. And tonight's focus is going to be a meditation on the heart and opening up your heart as much as you can for yourself. It's not opening your heart for other people right now. It is just purely for you. And as I said earlier, the green in the northern lights is setting a scene of just peacefulness and finding that peacefulness in your heart space. Now, we talked about getting my flute from overseas. I know it's disappearing into my screen at the moment, but this is my very first flute that I got from America. It's a beautiful flute. It's made from a very common timber over there and over here. And just as I'm talking, I'm probably not meant to talk too much because the word just disappeared out of my head. Cedar, there you go. And I always try and acknowledge where my instruments come from. So it doesn't matter whether they're from Africa or Egypt, India, whatever, it doesn't matter. I acknowledge them, and you won't be able to see it properly here. However, there are 4 holes at the end of the flute, and that's their belief is flute is breath of life. The 4 holes are all designed about spreading the sound and that life to the 4 directions. The bear totem represents family, represents strength, and represents the ability to take time out and hibernate and rejuvenate and grow. And in our spiritual journey, we quite often find ourselves going through a bit of a lull where things aren't happening. And that's just a period where you need to step back, do what you got to do, and then you'll find you'll grow from that. So yeah, so just acknowledging that that is the Native American belief, and I acknowledge that fully. Now, I'll just talk for a little bit just to get you into the right frame of mind, then I'll play, and then we'll bring you back at the end of it. So what I'd like you all to do, get comfortable. If you can, put both feet on the ground. If you can, whatever's comfortable is good. And I want you just to close your eyes and just take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And as you breathe out, just feel your shoulders relaxing down. Just feel your body just settling itself just nicely into the chair. Another deep breath in and hold and out. And as you do that a few more times, just feeling your body being responsive to the energy and just allowing yourself to feel that energy around you. So I want you to visualize as you take a deep breath in, the energy from the center of the earth, from Mother Earth's heart, coming up through your Earth Star into your base chakra and flowing all the way up the Sushumna, your main energy channel next to the spine that connects all your chakras, and out through the crown and up into the universe. And it doesn't matter what color you visualize that as just visualize it moving up through your body. Then when you release your breath out, drawing a different color energy down through the top of your crown, all the way down the Sushumna, out through the base chakra, the earth chakra, and into the center of the earth. You visualize the energy centering around your heart chakra, front and back. And what I'd like you to do is very gently put your right hand over your heart chakra, right in the center of your chest, just above your sternum. And just feel what happens when you breathe that energy in and out. What does your hand want to do? Does it want to move away? Does it get warm? Does it get hot? Just visualizing that energy building and growing around your whole body. And because this exercise is about just you and you alone, when you put your hands down, rest them with the palms down on your legs. Palms down on your legs, and that will recycle all the energy through your body. And as I play the flute for you, just allow yourself to just go where you need to be. So as you're sitting there now, just allowing that energy to continue to flow and build around your heart chakra, I want you to raise your right hand again and just put it over your heart chakra and just feel how much the energy's changed as you go into that heart space. Just allow your consciousness to come into that space and feel, see, even hear the frequency of your heart and how it's beating in your chest and the energy that's flowing from the heart chakra. Allow all the thoughts that have been negative and not yours to move away now, to be taken out into the universe where it is no longer required. Feel the connection through your feet now solidly into Mother Earth. And just feel how much support she gives us. I want you to thank your higher self. Acknowledge your higher self. You might not know a name for them. You might not understand why they're there. But on a spirit and energetic level, you are connected as one. And just ask them at some point to step forward and help you find your path, explore your path, maybe choose a new path. But be calm and relaxed in the space and in the way that you do that. You raise your left hand now and put it over the top of your right hand, palm to palm. Just feel your arms relax down by your sides a little bit and your hands just holding there in that energy space. And in your mind, through your consciousness, allow yourself to thank all the star brothers and sisters out in the universe, your spirit guides, your people, and just acknowledge them and feel the love that comes back from them through you and into your heart space. By putting both of your hands now back down on your legs, turn them palms up and visualize all the loved ones in your life, the people that mean something special to you, and visualize your heart energy flowing out through your heart, through your palms of your hands, to all those people you love. And just feel the sheer joy in your physical body of what it means to just give unconditional love for no other reason than you can, because you are love. On another level, visualize all the people in your life that have hurt you, that you have said bad words with, that have caused you problems, and send out a beautiful beam of love that says, I forgive myself for this, I forgive you for this. And as you do that, feel all the pieces of love come flowing back into your heart. And as you take a deep breath in, feel the energy of your heart expanding through your whole body. As you release yourself from that conditioning, as you release yourself from that pain. It is all about you and your place and space in this time, on this planet, in these conditions, and struggling to rise above everything that is trying to hold you down. And just feel the love that comes to you from that universe, from God, from the Creator. It doesn't matter. It's the energy of love that permeates all. So now I want you to visualize a beautiful ball of white energy just flowing down over the top of your crown, over your whole body. And just feeling your body now settling back beautifully as you call your consciousness back towards your mind. Feel your spirit body aligning beautifully, front to back, side to side, and top to bottom. Feel your connection to the earth by wiggling your toes and wiggling your fingers, and just allowing for an understanding that the chakras, all those chakras, the 7 major chakras, apart from the heart, just slowly closing over a little bit to help contain all the energy. Your base chakra, your sacral chakra, your solar plexus. Just leave your heart open. Your throat chakra, your third eye, and your crown, and just visualizing that beautiful energy flowing around your whole body. When you've done that, just allowing yourself to come back into your body properly. Again, wiggling your fingers and toes. When you're ready, just opening your eyes, putting your hands down beside you, shaking your hands a little bit, just really starting to feel that energy move through your whole body. Nice deep breath in and out, and relax, and just allow that to sit with you. And in that space, hopefully you will have beautiful dreams tonight and a lovely awakening tomorrow to a new day. Whatever that holds, you'll feel stronger for it.
This sound took me straight to Peru. I remember when just before I took train to Machu Picchu, it was a band, probably 2-3 people, 3 men, and they were playing flute. So I was in Peru this time instead of Egypt. So thank you. It's beautiful.
Thank you. It was a beautiful process. Just want to ask you, when you're playing the music, I mean, do you feel them? Because you said obviously you're quite guided in the sounds and what you're playing, but do you feel there's a few of them that work with you with the sound?
Yeah. So there is a technical word for the way I play, in that when I'm playing, I quite often see color, frequency as color. So when I'm doing sound healing with people, I quite often see the colors that go around them. And I'm very, very open to spirit working with me to play. Yeah. And sometimes even a note that might sound not perfectly correct is actually perfectly correct, because somebody in the audience needed to hear a particular sound in that space. And as all sound is represented by color, frequency, color, and it's all hand in hand, it works beautifully because it works on different parts of everybody's body.
Yeah, beautiful. And one thing I just want to acknowledge, because it stood out to me, was, how you at the beginning honor your instrument. I think it's an interesting thing compared to Western traditions where we just pick up a guitar or pick up an instrument. But this indigenous aspect of honoring the instrument, the wood, where it came from, the energy that's connected with it and the sound and the blessing that will come through it. It's all connected. So thank you for sharing that, because I think it's important to a lot of people here that we have things in our lives, but we often take them for granted, and it's just honoring the blessing of what we have been given from the earth, from the universe, and that these instruments actually, they have a resonance, but they also, what are they sharing with me? They have this energy that when we blend with them becomes one and can actually bring great healing.
And because I play so many different instruments, you know, I play African drums, Siberian style drums, Native American style drums, thunder drums, you know, each one has its own resonance in its own space, whether it's, you know, giving thanks to the animal that's provided the hide for that particular drum, the tree that is, like that one was cedar. I have another Australian one here that people can sort of see the color in that. Now that's actually a weed in Australia. That's camphor laurel. And so that timber is solid and it still has the smell. So it's acknowledging that even a weed gives us something more than just nothing.
And last thing I have here, because it was coming up to me, and it was interesting you played that instrument and it had the bear, because Spirit was showing me and I felt there was a message, and I'm not sure whether you were impressed with it, but a message from bear energy tonight for people who are here. Because I felt somebody was wanting to bring that through. There's a reason that bear wanted to connect with us as a group tonight. So what's your interpretation of bear and the energy of bear when you play that instrument?
Okay, so the energy of bear is, in my world, about family. It's about strength. You know, a bear doesn't have to attack and kill unless it's doing what it has to do, or it's got to protect itself. It's so strong that all the other animals tend to leave it alone. And for most of us, we have to find that strength in our heart to be the same. We have to know when we have to stand up, but more importantly, we know when we have to just stand in our own strength and look after our family and do what we need to do. And that's that feeling of what bear energy represents in that space.
Thank you for sharing that, because I felt it was just important and Bear wanted to speak. It was almost Bear was with me through that. And I actually have to admit, I kind of almost felt Frances. I know she's going to say something in a moment, but I felt her little Indian squaw guide was dancing around to that music as well. Yeah. So, Anthony, I think what we'll do is we'll open it up and just bring everybody on the screen. Just see if there's any questions anybody has before we finish up, because we've got about 5 or so minutes. So if anybody has any questions been in the background or anything you felt impressed with that you'd like to ask Anthony, and we'll take it one at a time. So if you can just give us a wave when we take the spotlights off. All right. So good to see you all, because now if you're in gallery view, you'll probably be able to see everyone and have a share. But from what we've heard tonight, because tonight was about this universal consciousness, and I think part of it was, again, that Anthony mentioned when he wrote about this passion, is that there is this synchronicity in the world. And when we're connected to Spirit, when we open up our vibration, we start to listen and to hear, and we almost feel guided as to what we need to be doing. And as Anthony's story, if we don't listen, Spirit come back again and remind us. And if we don't listen, then obviously they sometimes give us a wake-up call. But does anybody have any questions from tonight that, you know, like, or anything you'd like to share from what you've received tonight from Anthony? You can give us a wave if you do, and have a share. They're all very quiet.
They're all probably processing.
They're all processing. Well, Shirley does. Shirley's kind of giving me half a wave. So Shirley, welcome. Nice to have you join us tonight. And if you want to just unmute Shirley, you can just click on the microphone unmute button. There you go. Wonderful.
Arrow thing had disappeared.
That's right. Welcome, Shirley, and thank you.
Hi. Nice to be here. Thank you. Look, you said about Bear. Now, Anthony and I are very close. We talk on a daily basis and we do a lot of stuff together. And the one thing we've never really go into much talking about is past life connection that we've had. I mean, I know that we have, but we don't ever talk about it. But in that meditation, I had the strongest past life connection memory come up for us. And it was all about Bear.
Ah, okay.
And then you said that, I went, thank you.
What was your sense then, Shirley, of what Bear? Because I felt Bear was coming through for the whole group, but it's obviously very important to the two of you in the work you're doing.
Was very powerful. Well, Bear is a big totem for me anyway. It's always has been through my journey. And I'll just quickly share it, and we'll probably talk about it later. But I was taken back to a past life that I've seen before spontaneously, and it wasn't on my mind. So it came tonight, and I was there, and all of a sudden, I already knew my place in that vision because I've had it before, and I could feel that, shall I say, past life myself overshadowing me and with me. And all of a sudden, I was taken back, and Anthony was there as his part, and his name was Brown Bear. And it was just so strong, and I could see him, and he was medicine man.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I feel the sound I feel the sound tonight of what he played led to that opening. It was like, because I feel, Anthony, I felt tonight that music was actually a bit of an opening of an energy portal for all of us to connect at a deeper level with that heart consciousness. But like you said, family and strength, because the world at the moment is needing this strength within themselves.
Absolutely.
But I think we as the light keepers, you know, the ones that are here that have opened up their consciousness have been called to awaken that and share it on a greater level. Thank you for sharing, Shirley.
Thank you.
That was lovely.
Right. And the music just clicked it in. It was quite interesting. Hearing him play a lot, it was something different. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Anyone else have a question? Otherwise, I've got one that's probably sitting here. No one else? Everyone's quiet. Oh, Frances put a hand up. Thank you. Frances always puts her hand up. We like Frances because she asks the lovely questions.
Well, it actually isn't a question. I had a similar vision where I feel I was taken back to into a cottage, a very small cottage in a European country, where I was looking out through a window, and it's almost like there was dancing figures outside that were dancing to the sound of the flute, but I can't pinpoint exactly where that was. And towards the very end of the meditation, Anthony, I just got the image that I was sitting at a desk, and there was a cat on the desk that was a fluffy black and white, like the white on the chest. And it's not my cat because she's not like that. So it's, whether it's somebody's cat, I don't know. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I'm seeing this lovely cat in front of me. So yeah, I thought I'd just share that. I don't know if that's relevant for anything.
It could be relevant to somebody. I don't know whether anybody relates to that or connects him with that.
It's interesting if the music when I was playing was very much a sense of mischief and a sense of fun. And if you think about cats, black and white, balance, feminine, feline, very spiritual, and a sense of fun. And so, you know, potentially in somebody's life here, maybe yours, Frances, is there's maybe been a bit of fun lacking in that department and not trusting the intuitive side that the cats bring. So just from a subjective level, bringing that back into space and just being in that moment, accepting that that's where it is.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Peter, did you have a question, or were you just... No, you're all good.
Saying, I've got a cat with a very fluffy white chest, and she's not quite black and white, but almost a black and white cat. So you're almost describing what I think my cat maybe. Yeah, and also I want to say that during the meditation, it's not a question. It's just I got a lot of warmth between the shoulder blades, and it was starting to move down the spine. And it wasn't there before, and it's gone now. But it's very very strong warmth, very nice feeling.
Yep.
I thought that was very unusual. That was nice. So yeah, that was I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that bit, Peter, because that's essentially what you're doing is because you put your hands over your heart, you're actually pushing that energy back down into your energy channel.
Okay.
So it's going to start to spread top to bottom because of the energy that you're bringing through. And that was the whole point of the first putting your hand over there, and then the second, and then the left hand over, just to feel that energy moving through your body. And, you know, I think anyone that has a black and white cat must just actually be really good Collingwood supporters.
Well, I am a
Yes.
Collingwood supporter, so
There you go. You've got affirmation. You're a good Collingwood supporter then, Peter.
yes.
Fantastic. Lorraine, did you have something? I'm not sure whether you're putting your hand up or you're all good.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that. I'd just like to say it was absolutely wonderful. And I actually went to a plantation. It was just amazing. And then I eventually came to a clearing and there was a fire burning in the middle and I sat cross-legged. And I've never had that before.
Beautiful.
Awesome. It sounds like a lovely place to be. We might all have to go visit this plantation, Lorraine.
It was beautiful. Thank you, Anthony.
Oh, thank you, Lorraine, and thanks for sharing. It's not unusual when I'm playing a Native American flute. I do in my meditations quite often bring people through a valley to meet around a fire. And there's a lot of, I didn't do it tonight, there's a lot of symbology in that as well. And so it sort of acknowledges the shaman way of life that I sort of subscribe to. But it's about bringing everyone together in the same space.
And that's the wonderful thing that fire does, isn't it? I suppose storytelling all started around the fire. Absolutely. You know, it drew people together. So I suppose tonight, you know, on Zoom is our virtual fire in some respect because we're gathering together. Just before we finish up, I don't know whether there's anybody here, because I felt during that meditation too, there was somebody that was connecting or has a connection with eagle energy, because they were showing me eagle. So who's the person that has this connection with eagle or has been seeing eagle or has been getting this as a symbol or message? I'm not sure who you are, but somebody's...
I can put my hand up to that one.
Okay, then it probably is with you, because I did see it on your left shoulder, Anthony, beforehand. It was coming up and it was rising. And I feel this eagle or whatever this energy is, I feel it's symbolic. It's actually, they're showing me it's like a logo or a symbol, or it's something that's going to open its wings and take off in a bit of a different direction. But the spirit are kind of going, it's going this way. It just needs some tweaking and it's here. And then this thing opens up.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
I don't know whether that makes any sense to you.
No, it does. I'll give you two quickly, because I know time is short. When I nearly died in that car accident in the race, well, not car accident because I was in the water and whatever, when they eventually got me out of the water, they put me on oxygen and I was driven back to the base camp. And as I was being driven back in the passenger seat, we're in northern New South Wales, this beautiful and massive eagle flew down level with the car. I turned my head and I could see that all the nodules on his beak and everything else. Detail was phenomenal. And then it flew off and up and to the right, which signified to me that, okay, I maybe got to do something about this, but that's how I'm going to be okay. It's going to move forward and that's where we're going to be. I will also add very quickly that there are four main totem animals that work with me. One is the bear, one is the wolf, one is the eagle. And so I've got a drawing that was, I talked to a friend of mine who's an artist and I said, oh, look, I see this picture of the eagle with its arms or wings around a bear and a wolf, and they're all part of my crew. And she drew it for me and it's absolutely stunning. So that's just ties in your bear, that ties in your eagle beautifully. And I was watching an eagle only 2 days ago, I think it was. Above my head, I spotted this massive eagle just doing this bit of a circle around. And, yeah.
Excellent. And I feel just finally, last thing they're showing for you is it's taking some old energy. It's actually transmuting it. It's taking the old energy up to the light, up to universal consciousness for it to be shifted in a big way. So I feel there's a lot of healing or clearing that's part of this journey that's going to open up some new energy. So it's exciting.
It is. And thank you very much for taking the time to explain that. It's gorgeous. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Ella, do you want to say anything else before we wrap up? Because we're going to bring it to a bit of a close tonight. But before we do, there's going to be one thing I'm going to share. But Ella, do you have anything you want to say just to wrap up this kind of lovely session with Anthony tonight?
I just want to say thank you very much, Anthony. You accepted our invitation for tonight. And it was absolutely a pleasure to have you. And then, yes, you, as I said, you took me to Peru, and it was beautiful experience. So thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for asking, because I love sharing what I do.
Yes, thank you.
Fantastic. And so what I'd like to do is, before we finish up, the two things is, one, I just want to take the time to thank Anthony. Again, thank you for being here and for your open sharing, and also sharing your gift of music and the sound. And it's been nice because we like bringing people in who are just connected with this love of spirit, the love of the world, and the love of humanity. And I feel that's the energy that we kind of received tonight. So it's been a real gift. So maybe if I get everybody on the screen to just give Anthony a bit of a round of applause. Fantastic. So everyone, look, thank you for joining us. It's been great to see your faces. Stay warm out there. Melbourne has changed again in its weather. Connect with the bear energy. Just sit and meditate with bear. Also from tonight is what Anthony said, is listening to spirit and trusting, and even going back and sitting in that heart consciousness. If you do that alone, it's a great gift for you, it's a great gift for your loved ones, and it's a great gift for your world. So again, thank you all. Namaste to you. Have a great night, have a great week and a great month, and we will look forward to see you next time.